You're leaving some of your best images on the table, not because of your lens, not because of your location, because of a decision you made before you even raised the camera. You've been shooting JPEG. It felt simpler. The files were smaller, the camera made decisions for you, and that felt like a reasonable trade. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you've wondered whether you are missing something. Whether the photographers whose work you admire were working with something you are not. You are. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the difference is, what it costs you in workflow, and how to make a deliberate, informed choice about which format belongs in your practice. I made the shift from JPEG to RAW many years ago. I remember the day. I had come back from a morning shoot along the valley floor, golden hour, the kind of light that feels like a gift. I opened the files expecting something extraordinary, but what I got was flat, slightly overexposed with shadows I could not recover. That camera made choices for me, compressed the tones, applied sharpening I didn't ask for, discarded information I didn't know I was going to need, and I couldn't get it back because JPEG had already thrown it away. Here's the thing that most tutorials miss. The problem is not that the JPEG is bad. JPEG is a finished product. The camera processes the raw sensor data, applies its own interpretation of white balance, contrast, color, and sharpening, and delivers you a file that's already done. That can be useful, but it also means every creative decision has been made without you. RAW is not a finished product. It holds everything the sensor captured, uncompressed, uninterpreted, waiting for you to decide what the image is going to be. There's a specific type of light situation where this difference becomes impossible to ignore. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. While the file format decision you make before you leave the house either gives you that image or it takes it away permanently. But I want to ask you something first. Think about the last time you tried to recover a shadow in an image you cared about. What happened? RAW files give you what photographers call editing latitude. That's the range of adjustable exposure information held in the file. In a JPEG, that range compresses to almost nothing in the shadows and clips entirely at the highlights. What this means in the field is direct. In that last hour of evening light, when the sky is 3 stops brighter than the foreground, the RAW file holds both. The JPEG chooses one, usually the sky, and your foreground goes to black. When I made the shift, that was the first thing I noticed. Images I had written off as technically failed came back. Not all of them, but enough that I understood what I'd been discarding without knowing it. JPEG bakes the white balance into the file. Whatever your camera chose, or whatever you set that at, is now part of the pixel data. You can shift it slightly in post, but the underlying color information is gone. In a RAW file, white balance is metadata. It's a note attached to the image, not burned into it. You can change it completely in processing without any penalty to the image quality. Kelvin values, tint, color cast for mixed lighting indoors, blue shift of deep shade, all of this is adjustable after the fact. The full color data of the sensor is still there. Your camera is guessing at color temperature. In RAW, that guess is correctable. In JPEG, you're working with the boundary of what the camera decided. I want you to think about one image. One specific image from your past month that you weren't happy with. What I'm about to show you is exactly what happens to that image when you have the RAW file to work with. There's one more thing RAW gives you that most photographers don't think about until they need it. And by then, it's often too late. When you edit a JPEG and save it, you are permanently altering the file. Every save cycle compresses it again. Every adjustment degrades it slightly. The original is gone. What you have is a copy of a copy. A RAW file doesn't work that way. Your editing instructions are stored as a separate set of instructions along the original data. The original never changes. You can return to it completely a year from now, edit it differently, and the quality is identical to what you captured. This is not technical detail. This is about what your archive means. Every RAW file you capture is a permanent, untouched record of what the sensor saw. Your edits are always reversible. Your interpretation of the image can change as your vision matures, and that file will keep up with you. Let me show you the image I mentioned, a landscape scene, a beach in Mexico. Early morning, the sky is lit, the foreground is in deep shadow. Two versions of the same scene, one from a JPEG file and one from the RAW file. The JPEG version, the sky is correct. The foreground is gone. I can push the shadows in editing, but what I get is noise, color shift, and a muddy gray where the sand is. The image is not usable at print size. The RAW version, same exposure, same camera settings. I can pull the shadows up by 2.5 stops in DXO. The details come back. The texture, the color in the foreground. The tonal range I needed was always there. The file was holding it, waiting. That's not a processing trick. That's what the RAW format makes possible. Here's the cost of not making this change. You're not just leaving editing flexibility on the table. You're building a photography archive in a format that is already interpreted, already compressed, already finished. Every trip, every golden hour, every session you care about, recorded in a file that has already made half the creative decisions for you. That's not a workflow choice, that's a creative choice. And most photographers who are shooting JPEG don't know they've made it. So here's the thing that I said I'd come back to. RAW files allow you to apply lens corrections, chromatic aberration correction, geometric distortion fixes, the original data before you even begin a creative edit. In JPEG, those corrections are applied in camera, and they're baked in, sometimes overcorrected in a way that will affect the final image. RAW, you can control that process. It's one more layer of the image that belongs to you, not the camera's firmware. Here's what I want you to understand about this decision. Choosing RAW is not a technical upgrade. It's a statement about the kind of photographer you're becoming. It says that the image is not finished when the shutter closes. It says your creative process continues after the field. It says that your vision matters enough to preserve every bit of information the sensor captured. You are not a photographer who lets the camera make the creative decisions. You're a photographer who makes them. The workflow question is real. RAW files are larger. They require processing software. But if you're serious about your images, it's where the work actually happens. One change I'm asking you to make is this. On your next shoot, set your camera to RAW. One shoot. Bring back the files. Open them in your editing software and push the shadows on one image that you thought was compromised. If this connected with you, the advanced ebook covers this in full detail alongside 12 other techniques I use in the field. The link is in the description. It's the resource I wish I had 20 years ago. I process everything through DXO. If you want to try it, there's a discount code in the description for 15% off. If you want to follow along with this channel and the journey, like the video and subscribe. Keep watching as I document the real process, step by deliberate step. The light doesn't wait, and neither should we.